Today, we welcome to BLT, Tennessee Department of Corrections Commissioner Tony Parker as our guest. He's been a leader in criminal justice reform, which has not been an easy task during this last year. So today with Commissioner Parker, he was one of the youngest wardens in the state of Tennessee's history for Department of Corrections. He's had 37 years in corrections as a career. He was appointed by Governor Bill Haslam in 2016 to head up that department. He is president of the American Correctional Association, and he's the first Tennessee Department of Corrections commissioner to hold that title. He's got an associate degree from Dyersburg State Community College in criminal justice, a BS in criminal justice from UT Martin, and an MA in security studies from the prestigious postgraduate school in Monterey, California. So we want to welcome Commissioner Parker.
Well, thank you for having me.
I know one of the things that I wanted to discuss with you, I know the governor, as well as myself and you, and our sheriff, are really pushing for criminal justice reform. And I know the governor put together a task force. I did as well here locally. He came up with strategic plans moving forward with the state of Tennessee, and with the United States, just having maybe 5% of the world's population, but 25% of the prison population is in the United States. I know the governor wants to be tough on crime, but smarter on how we deal with it. And I know he wants to think about, who's going to jail, how we can divert that process, and then how do we re-enter people back into the life and into the workforce again. And I know the numbers have risen over the year on the number of incarcerated, but I'd like for you to discuss a little bit about the ideas of criminal justice reform and what's going to come from the state and what's going to come from the Department of Corrections as we move forward.
Well, thank you, Jimmy, for that question. And let me just say that, you're exactly right. The governor is very, very adamant that we be, he believes in the rule of law, and he believes in holding people accountable. Violent criminals need to be in a jail cell where they do not harm the public. But in all cases, we have to consider that 95% of the people that are incarcerated are going to return to the communities that we all live in each and every day. We also need to think about, in my opinion, from a taxpayer standpoint, what is the cost of incarceration and what's the return on investment? What are we seeing? Well, we know that to put somebody in a prison cell in Tennessee today, it costs approximately $80. Now that's a huge cost. And the cost really depends on what the person brings with them. If if they have major health issues and all, the cost could run up to $150, $200 a day. Now, at the end of the day, that's a pretty expensive proposition. But it's necessary in some cases for the violent criminals. I would say this, in the supervision of people in the community, we run about $3 to $4 a day. Big difference, $80 versus $4 for people on probation or parole supervision. And my point is the Department of Corrections in the state of Tennessee today, we use a validated risk and needs assessment tool that tells us what's the risk of an individual reoffending and what are the specific needs, what are the specific programs based on the needs of that person that we can put someone in classes and treatment programs that reduces that risk to recidivate. If we can do that and use a real evidence-based approach in how we deliver programs, at the end of the day, we make Tennessee a safer place because we reduce crime, we reduce recidivism. Now, you're not always going to get it right. You're always going to have, from time to time, people are going to mess up. They're going to violate the law. But we know, based on research from other states as well as best practices here in Tennessee, that it matters what programs they get and what type of supervision they're under, whether that be in a correctional facility or in the community. For that low-risk offender, for that drug offender that is a nonviolent drug offender, we really, in my opinion, need to look at what are the options that that might be available through treatment and proper supervision in the community versus at $4 a day versus sending them to a prison cell at $80 a day. We've opened 6 day reporting centers across the state. That is a true alternative to incarceration that allows the courts to defer somebody to this intensive drug treatment program under the supervision of a probation officer with the Department of Corrections at about $30 to $40 a day versus sending them to a prison bed at $80 a day. Now, I know in the governor's recommended budget and his package for possible legislation, they've added funding for some additional day reporting centers. We want to look at that. I think it's a model that works. I think it's a model that keeps Tennessee safer. And at the end of the day, it's about being tough on crime, as the governor says, but also being smart on crime. Making sure that we have the right offenders in the right place, right? Whether that be in a correctional facility or in the community taking supervision under the right supervision standards based on the risk of that individual. That's the key being successful, in my opinion, Jim.
And, I'm very pleased that the governor has taken this stand. One of the things that I'm passionate about also is criminal justice reform. As a career teacher most of my life, and then assuming this job as county executive, county mayor, I saw firsthand what going to jail does to my former students' lives and how it affects them in a generational way. And just going to the jail and touring the jail, it has a tendency, just like I know the governor has worked in jail ministry as well, it tugs at your heartstrings. And you feel like you need to do something to help these people because they're helpless, they're hapless, and they're hopeless at that particular point. And that was one of my quests being elected to this office, and with the new sheriff coming in, to put together some plans that would change the way we do business at our jail. And it has been a remarkable story in 2 years to take a jail that was ready to be, well, it was. We had no certification. We were afraid we were going to be closed. We had 350 plus people in a jail built for 251 with more than 120 people sleeping in the floor every night. And we've turned that around almost completely to be fully certified now with programs in place and a complete reversal in the course that we had been taking. So it's been a huge story. And if you don't care, I would like to invite Major Walker to the podium to talk a little bit about some of our successes and some of the things that we've got going at our jail, because I think it's a great story for our listeners to hear. And I think you already know this story because when we submitted our progress, our plan of action was removed, and Bob Bass and his team worked exceptionally in order to help us through this process. But we've got a lot of things to be celebrating here in Warren County. So I'm going to invite Jason to the podium just to give a little update on some of our programs and what we've done at the jail.
Thank you, Executive Haley. Thank you for being here, Commissioner Parker. I'm Major Walker with the Warren County Sheriff's Department. Whenever the sheriff took office, like County Executive Haley said, the jail was in rough shape. In 2012, the jail was put on a plan of action by the Tennessee Corrections Institute, TCI. What a plan of action is when a facility is unable to meet the minimum standards during their annual inspection, it's put on a plan of action. This allows the correctional facility to maintain certification status after failing to meet these standards. And also it shows to the Board of Controls about the facility is making measurable progress to resolve these situations. In 2019, work began to correct several of these problems in the jail. County Executive Haley and Sheriff Myers submitted a plan of action to TCI, and this included a jail scope of work. And on that list of the work to be done at the jail, there was over 60 items that needed to be corrected for us to get our certification. And we're happy to say all of those items have been put into place. There's one that is still getting worked on, that is the program area of the jail. But luckily, in December of 2020, this past December, the TCI Board of Control met, and Warren County received its certification. Also, the Board of Controls voted, and Warren County was taken off of the plan of action. We met all 427 standards that TCI put into place. With this, it was a lot of work by a lot of different people. It was a community effort. It wasn't just us at the Sheriff's Department. It was a whole community effort to do this. One thing, once we get this program space available, right now we've already started a Snap-on Tool program. It's been sponsored by TCAT. It started in the beginning of the winter. With that, we've had 36 enrolled in that program, and 24 have already graduated this program. Once we get the program space, our program director has already been looking at different programs to help with the reentry back into the neighborhoods whenever these inmates get out. Some of them include personal finance, AA meetings, NA, positive parenting, and TCAT is also sponsoring another class, a virtual welding class. We also already have the American Job Center in the jail to help with the job readiness program whenever people are getting out of jail. We're very hopeful that here in the next few weeks we'll actually have a mental counselor in the jail, and they're going to work on triaging mental health patients when they come into the jail. They're going to be a liaison with the mobile crisis. They're also going to put plans into place for people, anger management classes and different classes like that to try to help. We're very proud of the work that our corrections officer staff has done during the pandemic. Like County Executive Haley said, we had no deaths and very few cases of COVID-19 in the jail. It was difficult on the corrections officers. We had to put into place several new standards that they had to go by, and also kind of redo a lot of the way we did a lot of things. So we're definitely lucky with the staff that we have, that they were able to work hard and change their routine and keep most of the inmates safe out there. Thank you.
If I may, let me just congratulate you on that. That is just great work. I'm telling you, one thing I failed to mention earlier that's in the governor's budget, recommended budget, is the program that puts millions of dollars to local governments and local sheriffs that are utilizing evidence-based programs for their population. Currently, we pay $39 a day for those people that are held there in the local jails that are state offenders. But this new money, this legislation will allow counties like yourself to receive, a higher pay for those per diems for these people that you have in that jail that are receiving evidence-based programs that's going to be monitored through the Tennessee Corrections Institute. But what I've heard you talk about this morning just is phenomenal. I mean, this is really forward-thinking, and you've recognized, obviously, you all have recognized that providing these programs that are evidence-based, that teaches skills that allow people to address mental health issues, substance use issues, and find a meaningful job, return people back to the communities that we live in, that their chances of recidivating is a lot less, and thus, at the end of the day, creates a safer environment for us to live in. That's the smart piece on the criminal justice side of the house that we've talked about, being tough and smart on crime. And I just congratulate you all for that work. That is huge, a huge step forward, and definitely will be the way going forward for the future.
Thank you, Commissioner Parker, and thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you.
So, Commissioner, we are proud of our success, and it was not easy, but as Major Walker said, it was a team effort. My criminal justice task force worked diligently with the judges and the DA and with the public defenders and prosecutors, with our drug recovery program, which we've expanded as well. The county commission, after years of just kind of letting the jail sit there and not knowing what to do, they embraced our plan, helped to fund additional correctional officers, putting a counselor position in place for the budget, and for a build out for the program space. Right now, we're using our TCAT trailer for our high-set GED program as well as our Snap-on tools. But we've already put the bids out and accepted a bid for the build out. So we are ready to roll on a program space. And our own Jackie Rackley, who got Jail Administrator of the Year, is now going to move over to Program Director at the jail. She did such a miraculous job as administrator there at the facility that she wants to invest in people. And that's what we're trying to do, is reinvest in people so they don't return. So we do reduce recidivism. So we do have, these programs in place, and reentry is extremely important to all of us because it rebuilds lives. It keeps people out of jail. It keeps people off welfare programs. And so we're working with workforce and Commissioner McCord also to help fund some of our operations. We did 3-star grants to put the Snap-on tools. So we have leveraged every resource that we possibly can on a local level. And as I joked with Governor Lee, I said, I can't wait on your criminal justice reform package to get delivered. We've got to roll up our sleeves and start on day one. And that's kind of what we did. We all joined together and figured out a plan and implemented it. And we're not looking back now. We're looking forward to what we're going to be doing next. So, we appreciate all the support from TCI, of course, and from your office. But it has been something to celebrate as a community. And I think we all see it and we all feel it. And we feel like we're kind of the model of a small rural community that didn't have a lot of resources, didn't have a lot in place already. And to turn around a jail in 2 years, I feel like is a success story that needs to be told. So thank you for all your efforts and support, Commissioner, because it's, like I said, it's been a labor of love for all of us.
Well, thank you, Jimmy. And Major, I just, again, when I was there in 19, I remember the conversation and the talk with the Rotary Club about taking communities and a community taking an aggressive approach to addressing some of the social issues and some of the issues we have relating to criminal justice reform at the local level, and how a community could work together to change their own community and why it matters. And what you've described this morning is exactly what you guys have done. And it's just, listen, it'll pay benefits for years to come. You'll see these benefits for years to come. And I just, again, congratulate you all on the work that's being done. And I know when you had that conversation with the governor, it made him smile, because I guarantee you what you've described is directly what he has been asking for and pushing for ever since he's been in office.
And he's been very complimentary of our accomplishments as well. But, in doing all of this and turning the jail around, instead of this movement to defund, we're putting funds in a smart way like the governor wanted us. And in return, we're restoring really respect for law enforcement and the efforts that they have, achieved over the last 2 years. Even the inmates in jail, they see it. It's a different atmosphere. It's a different climate. We use, positive reinforcement and behavioral modification within the jail, and it's paid off. The amount of vandalism has gone down, and the prisoners there, they respect what we're doing for them, and they appreciate it. And so we're expanding our trustees program for work on county buildings, and we're working, like I said, with workforce to get these programs in place so we can get jobs for them. So it's been a win-win for us. So once again, we thank you and the efforts. And Bob Bass has been a miracle worker with us. He's been right there with us down in the trenches. His whole staff has. So as we start to wind up a little bit on our conversation here, as Commissioner of Corrections, what do you think your biggest challenge is? And, as we start to wind down the governor's administration and in hopes of maybe 4 more years coming up for him as well, what are your goals as commissioner moving forward, and what are some of the challenges that you face?
Well, I certainly would think, Governor Lee is sitting here, and I would definitely count on 4 more years. I think he has been a great governor. I think he's exactly in tune with Tennessee. And, this criminal justice reform effort in using evidence-based practices to make our state safer is not an overnight solution. It's going to take years to do that. And we begin this, the Department of Corrections in Tennessee began this initiative several years ago. And, it takes a while to get people on board. It takes a while to get some of the decision makers on board across the state. We have to continue pushing forward with what we know is practices and programs that's based in research. Things that is based in research and is evidence-based, not my opinion, right? Not the commissioner's opinion or someone else's opinion, but things that we know that has worked based on empirical research that reduces recidivism. That's a pretty big task that takes years to accomplish. And my goal is going to be, and my challenge is to continue this work, continue pushing forward with ways to again be on crime but smart on crime. Look at people who we can supervise in a more effective, more efficient manner. If there's opportunities there, build programs to take advantage of that, to continue to support one another at the local level, at the state level, work together as for the common good of Tennessee, and support one another. Our corrections officers have a tough job. On the best of days, their job is most difficult. I think we have to work to help inform the public about the true mission of corrections and why the things we've talked about here this morning really matter. And, people sometimes have I don't think they truly understand sometimes the true mission of corrections. It's not just to lock people up and release them on that magical date that they can return to our communities. Our job is much more complex than that. Across the criminal justice perspective, we all have challenges. But, again, my goal is going to be to continue to push the initiatives that we have formed here in Tennessee, and help our local partners and continue to move forward and make Tennessee a safer place.
And that's good words to hear. So we want to continue on with the task at hand. And I know there's lots of things and hurdles. There's issues with bail and probation and privatization of prisons and jails and services. And, I'm not sure where all of that's going to go, but, we want to be ahead of the curve. We want to make sure that we're more proactive than reactive, which has been, the policies in the past. And it is a mindset to change, because we still have people that say you just lock everybody up and throw away the key. And, when the sheriff and I took office, we had an over 82% recidivism rate. And that's just unacceptable as a cost-effective way of running a facility. And it's no way for a community to have to suffer through the problems associated with, destroying families and keeping people incarcerated and then throwing them back in jail once we let them out again. So we are building on that one day at a time, and that's what we do. That's how we change lives, by investing in people. So any follow-up words of encouragement you want to give us, Commissioner, before we sign off?
No, just once again, thank you for the job that you're doing there. I know, Senator Bolin, Representative Sherrill, and others that I've talked to about the work that's going on there. That's just great work. It's very, your vision of the future is very very good, and you're using good programs, thinking out of the box. I'm glad to hear you say, what you said about we can't can't build our way out of this issue, right? Building more prisons, more jails is not going to be the solution. It's not sustainable because you do look at those high recidivism numbers. And using evidence-based practices is really the key going forward with treatment options as well as criminal justice programs. What you've described this morning is spot on, and I know you'll see the benefits of that in the days to come. I would just again congratulate you for what you're doing for the citizens there in Warren County and the surrounding counties, and just continue the good work. It's great to be on air this morning and hear the good work that's going on there in your communities.
Well, thank you for your service to the great state of Tennessee, and tell the governor hello. I'm usually texting him or emailing his office nearly every day. So, we're proud of our successes, and improving leadership from the top all the way down does matter across this state. So we appreciate all that you've done, and the Department of Corrections moving forward with this criminal justice reform movement that is grasping every inch of what we do here, and we hope it spreads to other communities as well. So thank you, Commissioner, for joining us today.
Thank you, Julie.